I've got the brain.
Welcome back to another special Prime Cuts episode of Chopping It Up. As summer settles in and the temperatures soar, the CIU crew is starting to feel the heat. As such, we're going to celebrate Pride Month by chopping up a scorcher in one of the most famous horror franchises of all time, A Nightmare on Elm Street. Specifically, we're covering 1985's sequel, Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge, even though he's not actually taking revenge on anyone as far as I can tell. Directed by Jack Shoulder of Arachnid fame and written by David Chaskin. Lots on this later. The second installment of the Nightmare series is a beloved film in the LGBTQ community, and so we do hope to do it some justice here and break down much of the text and, more important, the subtext. If you are interested in watching this movie, it's now available via Tubi for free. And as a reminder, Prime Cuts is designed as a quick-hitting, free-form conversation where we discuss a breadth of horror mediums, including anthologies, theatrical releases, graphic novels, shorts, and other forms of media. There is no set agenda here as we shoot from the hip and provide any gleaned insights from our respective viewings. So this one, salud, l'chaim. So this one is something that just sort of popped up on us. We wanted to do an ep that honored this month, and we're trying to sneak in before the month of June is over. This film,
we are recording in the month of June, but
no, I have full faith. I have full faith that our editor Jeannie will get this up in 24 hours, easily. Jeannie. All right. Well, fuck it. All right. Look, well then you guys
in Portland, we celebrate Pride in July. So I'm just going by the Portland calendar.
You know what? That works.
There you go.
Yes.
I'm assuming
yes.
I'm assuming everyone saw this one previously, right? Like growing up.
I saw it when I was younger.
Or maybe
I hadn't seen it since I was a kid.
Guys, I think when we were kids, we ran through all of these. I'm sure we saw all these.
I watched all of them.
I remember this one specifically because the protagonist's name is Jesse, and I just remember watching it as a kid. And then, you know, I rewatched it a few years ago. And that's when I sort of, as obtuse as I am and as young as I was watching it back when we were growing up, the whole fucking movie went over my head, right? It was just a slasher as far as I was concerned. But a couple of years ago, when I rewatched it, and then it's like, wait a second, what is happening here? And immediately, you know, jumped on the interwebs, and it's like, oh, all right, so this is a real thing. Had you guys known? I mean, when I suggested this one, Jeannie was sort of like, why are we doing this?
Yeah, I had no idea. And it even didn't really come across to me as overtly gay. Even after right. And I listened to the podcast you shared and then watched the,
well, wait, you listened to the Horror Queers?
Yes, I listened to the Horror Queers episode with Mark Patton, which we will link in our notes. And even then, I was kind of like, it took me, I don't know. I mean, I guess I could see it. And then finding out more information about the writer and filming it in the context of all of it, I was like, oh, okay.
Well, Jeannie, you and I watched the documentary that Mark Patton produced, right? Like, that's what we were talking about. That was, so for anybody who's interested, that's, at least right now, is available on Tubi as well. And that is it's Scream Queens, and it's Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah, Scream, Queen.
Yeah, there you go.
Nightmare on Elm Street. And it's also available on demand on Pluto.
Oh, I didn't know that. And it was produced by Mark Patton. So it's really, really good. It gives you a lot of insight, at least into what he was feeling about it and kind of the community. But
well, let's do, before we really dive in proper, a very quick synopsis. I mean, which is, you know, it's crazy that the subhead for this was Freddy's Revenge, because there's no one in this movie, including Nancy, that is from the original. There's no one to take revenge on not any of the original movie. He's obviously avenging his mistreatment or death or whatever, being burned to death. The parents who threw him in there, he's going after their children on Elm Street. Mm-hmm. So it makes sense. For this one, he's not taking revenge on anyone. We're introduced to a whole new cast of characters, including Jesse Walsh, who is the ostensible protagonist, and his girlfriend, or I guess co-protagonist. What's her name again?
Lisa.
Lisa, played by Kim Myers, and a bunch of other people. And so this is sort of the odd man out as far as this whole franchise. And Wes Craven didn't want anything to do with this, as I understand it. He wanted, he just wanted the original Nightmare to be a standalone film. He didn't want any sequels, but he stepped back from this one, only to, after the financial success of this, the windfall that this, I'm sure Joel can give us numbers later. Then he stepped back and used the money that was made from this to help finance the rest of the other ones that he was involved in. But the plot is follows Jesse, who has his family's moved into the house on Elm Street, and he's upstairs sweating his balls off every night. Bars on the window, same deal. And one of his friends from school, he's new in town, but one of the new friends he makes hips him to the whole background on what's going on there. And so off we go. Freddy comes back for no reason that is explained to us, to terrorize Jesse and his family and his friends and the other high school classmates there. So that's where we are. What did you think on the rewatch?
I mean, I hadn't rewatched it since I was pretty young. I mean, I had read about it, so I knew about, watching it when I was a kid, I didn't pick up on any of the homosexuality stuff. It was all just like a regular whatever movie, so I didn't pick up on that until reading about it later on. I don't think I had rewatched it even other than like bits relating to things that were talked about within that context, just to see it, be like, oh, and like, what did I miss? First of all, I love the school, but the thing that always stuck with me even now is I think the school bus scene from this one, more even than the first one, like always creeped me out. Like I remember having nightmares about that school bus scene for whatever reason. That always the idea that you like kind of drive off into this weird hellscape. Yeah. They're in like a pretty, because it's like, I don't know where Elm Street is supposed to be, but it always looks kind of New Englandy to me, almost like it's pretty green. It might be somewhere probably in Southern California, but as far as the neighborhoods and stuff, you can't necessarily tell. And the way they kind of like all of a sudden go over this curb and they're in the desert and they're like driving, like, I don't know. It's like, it always creeped me the fuck out. Like
it's set in the fictional town of Springwood, Ohio is where it's supposed to be.
And like,
all those deserts in Ohio,
Midwest.
right?
Of course. Well, but that's part of the nightmare.
But that part made it creepy. Right. Like it's very like unsettling scene. I always felt like
none of it makes a lot of sense.
It feels like and it's done really well as a dream scene to where it doesn't make a lot of sense necessarily. It's like, which is like what dreams are like, when you try and tell someone about a dream you had, and when you start
in the desert, but in the school
you start realizing the gaps in what happened. Like it all made sense while you're dreaming, and then when you start trying to explain it to someone, it's like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, because it's like, oh, I was at your house, but it wasn't really her house. It was like this other place. And like,
I knew it was your house, even though it didn't look like it. Well, it reminds me, Sled, what you started with reminds me of when we did the full length ep on Nightmare. We did the OG Nightmare, and we did part 3.
Mm-hmm.
And we all agreed, and I feel like I had the same exact vibes from watching the second one the other day, that if these were musical bands, Sled, this is you, the rest of the franchises are really hair metal. They're like a little bit soft. They're not really scary, right? Friday the 13th isn't really scary. The Halloween series, it all becomes a little campy and played. This is, what do you call it? This is like heavy metal. This is like it's like Guns N' Roses. Watching the Nightmare franchise is scary. Everything is unsettling about it.
One is legitimately a scary movie.
Yeah. One
has scary parts. Right. Yeah.
I mean, real horror. The effects were really good on this. I was really pleased with all the peeling back.
Freddy was very different looking, I felt like, in this. I don't know what was going on with his makeup, but it's definitely a different aesthetic that's going on with how they did his face makeup.
So something interesting about that, Michael, They talked about this in the documentary that well, first of all, Robert Englund wasn't even going to be involved. Like they in order to save money, they were initially going to just cast someone else because the thinking the producer had was, oh, just like Jason, we'll just cast whoever and we'll keep the cost low, right? Because then they don't renegotiate. They tried to do it. It didn't work. Robert Englund is like a special kind of magic as Freddy. It just doesn't work without him. So that was the first thing. Second thing is that 2 started a trend where if you look at all the and they put them all up next to each other, right? And the thing I watched where it was in each movie, I think there's 8 Freddy movies. Each of them, Freddy's a little different. And this one started that trend. Right, it's like they make him a little, and it's all similar, but like this one, they made him the guy who did the makeup studied like burn victims and tried
Kevin
to make
Yeager,
tried to make him much more like the meaty, like you'd see the skull, and it was really pretty.
I mean, they did more close-ups on him in this one than the first one, for one thing. Like when he has Lisa in the kitchen at that one point, and he's talking to her. But they did a couple different things with his eyes at certain points, where it's like some of it's like you can really see his eyes close up, and I'm assuming those are contacts, but it's like his eyes were really big, and they were almost like a reddish brown in one, and then there was another one where his eyes were basically like black pits, like in that kitchen scene. So they just did a lot of different stuff with his his makeup. I mean, I still think the movie's I like it. I think I can't tell what the fuck is. I feel like I need to rewatch it multiple times to figure out what exactly parts are supposed to be dreams versus real.
Oh my god,
like,
the same
even
problem.
at the end it's like everyone's like, oh man, that was crazy. Like it's like, did the fucking party happen at all? Like I can't tell, I can't tell like which parts, like where's the transition between
the knock on this movie. The knock on this movie, that as I understand it, is horror fans, we love rules, right? Just tell us what the rules are within this universe and we'll be fine with it. This breaks the established rules, right? Freddy kills a bunch of teenagers who are awake, who aren't dreaming, right? If this is real, and massacres them. That's not how it works.
I mean, my only theory is that almost the whole thing is a dream. Like that's the only way to like make it make sense to some extent.
I like that.
Y'all were asking about like whether what the coach scene is a dream, and it's like, well, like how is it a dream? Because half of it, it's like he's not even there. He's just following the coach around. Like it's like either that whole thing is real or it's like all contained within that dream, because it's like he's watching stuff happen to the coach when he's not even in the room. Like when the coach is getting all the balls thrown at him and all that stuff. Like,
and it's real. I think it's real. I don't think that is a dream. Jeannie and I were texting about this. She thought it was a dream. Here's why I don't think. Also, Sled just bolsters my point. I didn't think of that. That has to be real. We're seeing stuff that is happening. He's not in on that. And then when it's all said and done, the cops show up with Jesse wrapped in a blanket and return him to his parents. Hey, he was naked running around here, blah, 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 like by the school, like.
I even wondered if that was a dream, because
who's dreaming that? Who's
you never had dreams where you watch things in third person? I've had dreams where I'm watching things in third person.
And I thought they had said that
or
they found
dreams where you're naked and you're out and like you get brought home. Like I don't know. I think there's a way to interpret it as all is a dream.
Maybe, but the end of that scene, then as soon as he returns them, they're like, hey, like keep this one on a short leash or whatever, and they leave and close the door. We cut to a next scene. That is reality. There's no segue. There's no wake up screaming. Go ahead, Joel. Sorry.
No, just something I was going to point out that I think is like a happy accident with this movie. It's actually, so this is my second time ever watching it, right? Like, so I watched it when I was a kid, maybe a couple of times when I was a kid, and watched it now. But I think one of the things that's like kind of a happy accident is this movie was very rushed, right? Like it basically followed so close on the heels of Nightmare on Elm Street's success that it was about a year, right? And so there's actually stuff they talked about in the documentary. There's stuff that like people were just throwing ideas up on the wall and then they would shoot it. And sometimes they were just left in. And so some of the inconsistencies that makes it like, if you're really watching it and trying to interpret it where you're like, is that a dream? Is it not? It accidentally really works because Freddy is a demon, like a dream demon, right? So the fact that it is so inconsistent, to Michael's point, kind of makes it work that much better. It's like it's disorienting, right?
It really is. Yeah.
But again, I think it's an accident, right? Like that some of it's that way.
I think a lot of, so now we can cut right to the core of this thing and why we chose it for Pride Month. I think a lot of this is an accident. And I was listening to just earlier today, the Horror Queers episode with Mark Patton and Kim Myers and Robert Rusler. That's Grady and Lisa. They were all on the panel. And it's like this was written by this guy. What's his name? David Chaskin. Okay. And he wrote this all and then denied for many years that there was any homoerotic undertones or overtones to this at all. And it seemed pretty obvious upon rewatch that it's hardly subtext. It's basically text. Right. And finally, I guess at some point, maybe 10 years ago, he revealed that, oh yeah, like I knew it was here. And here's what he said. I'm going to pull a quote, which is pretty telling. The writer for years denied that he wrote this to be gay. Up until a 2010 documentary called Never Sleep Again, Chaskin blamed all of the film's queerness on Mark Patton's character, Jesse. Then he says, it wasn't until Never Sleep Again that he admitted to writing any subtext into the film. In a 2010 interview, he was asked if he was aware of the film's homoerotic undertones and if they were intended. Here's what he says, quote, "Yes, there was certainly some intentional subtext, but it was intended to play homophobic rather than homoerotic. I thought about the demographics for these types of films, young heterosexual males, and tried to imagine what kinds of things would truly frighten them to the core, and scary dreams that made them even momentarily question their own sexuality seemed like a slam dunk to me." So basically, this guy is a giant piece of fucking shit. And what he's done is all of this stuff, which has now been taken and reappropriated by the gay community, by marginalized folks, and made it their own. He was doing this. This was a gag. This was a mid-'80s. Look at these gay people, right? Look at these pejorative, whatever. Look at these people. And shouldn't you recoil at that? And isn't that scary for you to have a gay gym teacher, right? Or
I mean, I actually thought the homophobic subtext was even a little deeper and more worse than that in a way when I watched this, because the way I interpret this movie is essentially Freddy Krueger is trying to come back to life through this guy's, but like he's basically trying to possess this guy, right? And so this is the only possibly gay portrayal of a kid in these, and so it's like if this kid's gay, this is what. And like the Freddy Krueger subtext that a lot of times not talked about him is the idea that like, oh, he killed these kids, but he also in theory you're assuming he probably molested these kids. So I think that there is probably
wait a second,
intentional conflation with
in the original movie it was
wait men and being child molesters and whatever,
of course.
And so picking this character to also be the one that like Freddy Krueger is picking to try and come back into the world, not just as a sleep demon, but as a physical embodiment of himself, I think it felt like watching it. I was like, this movie is fucking like, I like the movie because I think it's good, but it's not good because of what this guy feels like to me, like he was intending to do.
It's pretty dark, honestly.
This guy did seem like he had a piece of shit motive in creating the entire plot to me.
Yeah.
So can I tell you guys really quick, and then Jeannie hop in wherever you want?
Well, wait, Joel, I got to jump in front of you because Sled, we went over this, I think, in the first full length app we did with Nightmare. One of the clippings on the wall, the Freddy Krueger clippings that someone has on their wall, it actually does say that he's a pedophile.
Okay.
So that was there for sure. And you're right. He is. So the only gay character has to repress his gayness, and it's literally a monster trying to get out.
Yeah, he's trying not to become Freddy Krueger at the same time. So it's like
they actually do a great
both
job.
Sides of that is like,
Sorry, Joel, go ahead.
The possession movie, they do a great job with the special effects of him like tearing out of him and all that.
Yeah.
I think it reads as a possession film. But I wanted to take like 2 or 3 minutes and just give you the synopsis of what happened with Mark Patton and everything from the documentary we saw. Jeannie, jump in wherever you want. Okay. So he was a young, up and coming actor who was not out at the time in 1984, but when as this movie was getting ready to be made in 85, but he wasn't closeted either. It just wasn't discussed, right? He enters this film right as the AIDS virus is really becoming headline news, and then it starts becoming mainstream news all over the place about the fear and so on, and the stigma of being homosexual and this, plague that was descending. And so Mark Patton, he's feeling all that pressure. He is being pushed, he feels, according to the documentary, his own words, to play up some of the subtext in this, right? He and Robert Englund even discuss, Freddy kind of feels his face and things next to the stairs. Like, they talked about doing that.
Well, even more, and actually what Patton balked at
was he was going to stick a blade in his mouth.
He was going to stick the blade inside of his mouth. Yeah.
And they actually, makeup artist told him and was like,
his makeup artist
interrupted and was like, he needs more makeup. And the makeup artist pulled him aside and was like, do not let him do that. Like, it will look like you're giving him a blowjob.
Right. Yeah. So things go on. The movie comes out. It does well. Like, just to let you know, it made a lot of money.
Really well.
It does. Yeah. Made more money than the original.
It made like $21 million. So it made 7 times its budget. So it did really well. But then after it cycled for a little while, people started saying nasty things about the character Jesse and therefore Mark. And so Mark felt he was getting pushed, and very overtly, by his agent and everyone else to be like, you have to play straight from now on. And then
what was the character he played in the movie prior to this? He played a male hustler.
Oh, so he played a character. Actually, it was a really good callback, Jesse.
Walk us through this, because
I'm going to look this name up, but it's a movie that he did as a play with Cher.
Oh, with Robert Altman.
Come back to the Five and Dime.
And Robert Altman. It's called Come Back to the Five and Dime. Jimmy Dean. And that's actually
Jimmy Dean sausage is delicious.
Yes, I was explaining this to Jesse because I'd never heard of this thing, but it was apparently a pretty big deal off Broadway or on Broadway, but a smaller venue. So what happens there is that he's in this play with Cher, and his character, he is a kind of like a young hustler from Texas, who he plays a trans character, I think is the way you would say it, but it's actually they decided to depict the character with 2 actors. So the first part, where it's ostensibly a man, is Mark Patton, and then they put someone else in the role who's a female actress to continue the role. And so, like, again, that was in the freewheeling, early 80s. It's probably like 83, I think, when that comes out. So he was really up and coming. Again, that's with Cher and Robert Altman. That was a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
It's this movie, and like, it's financially successful, but he feels like he's getting typecast. And then his agent overtly says, you're going to have to play straight. And then right about there is the death of Rock Hudson, which scared the shit out of Hollywood. So he died of AIDS. Rock Hudson did.
Right.
And he was outed. And as soon as that happened, apparently the atmosphere in Hollywood changed. Everyone was told they needed to play more, quote unquote, butch. And so he was trying to protect himself, Mark Patton.
I think it's important to interject here. Mark Patton is HIV positive.
And that's where I'm getting to.
Okay.
And he had talked about that in the film.
So he does, yeah. Jeannie, do you want to?
Yeah, he's a huge AIDS prevention and protection advocate.
So his live-in boyfriend, hold on, I have his name. Also an actor on
Hector
Dallas.
Or something?
No,
his name is Tim. No, that Hector is his husband now. But his live-in boyfriend at the time's name was Tim Patrick Murphy. He was a actor on Dallas.
Do you know who he was on Dallas?
What's that?
Do we know who he was? Because I used to watch Dallas and Falcon.
No, I don't know offhand. Mickey Trotter. Shit. Young guy.
My brain is fried. I don't remember.
Young, handsome guy. He died of AIDS in 88, but he was sick in that time period. So again, this is all in a couple of years right after the release and financial success of Nightmare on Elm Street 2.
Well, so, now contextualize this, all the stuff, the background that you've just given us, and contextualize it with David Chaskin, the writer for Nightmare 2.
Denying everything.
The whole an hour and a half of just nothing but gay jokes and shit and all this stuff, and then gaslighting Patton and everyone else into saying, "I don't know what you're talking about."
Yeah, I was trying to read. There's like not a lot out there about that guy. Like I wish I could find
Patton,
more background.
He lives in upstate New York.
What? Yeah, and I think how it impacted Patton is that he was playing it straight, and he was just doing as he was told, kind of thing. And
some of it was in the script.
Yes, and he talks about that. He was like, "Well, no, it actually said in the script for me to shut the door with my butt." Yeah. Right? Like, when they were doing the dance scene, and he was like, no, like it actually said for me to do this.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing that comes across unless you're a legit homophobe that's like, oh, this guy's trying to be camp or something. Like he's like just acting like a kind of a goofy high school kid. Like I don't know. He's
it's like he's playing like he's 16 or 17 years old and is kind of like silly. But you could interpret it as straight or gay depending on what you want.
He seemed pretty into making out with Lisa when they filmed that scene. So I'm thinking, I reflected on that as like a heterosexual man, like imagining a make out scene recording like that with like, that's a pretty damn good acting because he looked like he was into making out with her. Like I'm trying to imagine myself in the same shoes. Like if I had to be an actor and film a scene making out, like you see a lot of like, I guess some scenes, but not like that intense to where guys are like, people lose their minds when guys kiss. They're like, oh my God, he kissed another guy on screen. That was such like a strong whatever to do. And then like, I don't know, doing that that's pretty, but
that's
really a good actor.
But you have to look at that scene. And of course he immediately stops making out with her in the pool room floor.
Because Freddy starts possessing him, and
but she doesn't know that he starts getting twinges but he flees and he goes to Grady's house and begs to sleep with this guy Grady, to sleep in his room, right? Like that's
from the writing side, from the acting side. There's nothing he's doing for sure.
No, that's
and I think that's where gaslit is a really good term, and he. On the Queers podcast, he talked about how they did the same thing to Elizabeth Berkley in Showgirls. Right? Sure. Like they wrote it as something completely different and then kind of directed her to do it in such a way. And then like it also bombed like her career, even though I personally love Showgirls.
Saw in the theater.
One of my favorites.
The director for Nightmare on Elm Street 2 never, even in the documentary, copped to like he could have easily like one of the things that comes up all the time is the scream that Mark Patton does.
Oh yeah, whenever he's off screen, the scream is clearly a woman, right? Like,
I think that's Patton.
No, I think it is him.
Yeah, but I didn't think it was a womanly scream.
No, it is a womanly.
When they show it off screen, the screams sound like when it's not him on the screen screaming in front of the camera.
Listen. I'm listening to the interview with him, and he's like, "Yeah, well, I just let loose. Yeah, that was me. Like it's him screaming.
It's like a scream.
And it does
sound like that when they filmed him straight when he was on camera. It almost felt like a magic trick to me.
And I disagree with you, Jeannie, that it does sound like a woman, and that's why they've basically dubbed him a scream queen, like the first non-female.
I would agree.
Scream queen. Final boy. He's our final boy.
I think if the intent wasn't to, and I think we're all saying this, but just to put a pin on it, if the intent wasn't to have that subtext be obvious by the director and the writer, then when that happened, it would have been very easy for the director to go, hey, Mark, let's take another pass at it.
Yeah.
And, let's not do that quite as high pitched. And that would have been all it would have taken.
I think my point that I was trying to make originally was that this whole movie, almost everything about it is by accident, that that it has become so beloved and reappropriated and taken and reshaped as, it's like almost like, now I don't believe that to reclaim it. And I don't believe that any one or any demographic or any person or any group of people, quote unquote, own, this is our art, this is our music, this is our whatever. I don't like that artistically, but that's probably a philosophical argument for another time. But listening to Mark Patton and others discuss that this is our movie now, it's not David Chaskin's bullshit writing of it. And I kind of like that, that you're able to take the power away from
too. It. And so just to finish up the Mark Patton, like, up until
deep dive.
2010, which is when he kind of comes out of, so he goes into hiding more or less, right? Basically, Tim, his live-in boyfriend, dies of AIDS, and Mark finds out he is in fact HIV positive, and then he goes into hiding's probably, he becomes reclusive, and he moves to Mexico. And then he gets very sick. Like, he gets full-blown AIDS, and he develops
tuberculosis.
Tuberculosis.
Yeah.
And like several other things. He gets cancer. I mean, just this poor man is just riddled with things that are nearly killing him. And he has to use one medication over the other. He has to pick which one he could take, because like the TB medication conflicts with the HIV medication.
Right.
Documentary.
And he had to go back on like the old school cocktails that they took in the 80s, like the AZT and all that.
It was harrowing. I mean, like, and so
awful.
He basically did not at all pay any attention to any of this stuff. And it took years to get his health under control. And then once he did, he just kind of lived in Mexico. And he met his husband, Hector. I forget Hector's last name, but
now his ex-husband. They did divorce in 2021.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay,
so didn't know that.
But so they met and they got married and everything, and then 2010, they started the producers of this first documentary called what was it, Jesse? Do you remember something like My Nightmare or
In My Dreams?
Never Sleep Again.
Never Sleep Again. That's what it was. Never Sleep Again. Come around, and so what their intent was to get all of the leads for all of the 8 Nightmare on Elm Street films, and they couldn't find Mark Patton, like just couldn't find him. And they had to hire a private detective agency. And they eventually found him in Mexico. And then that's when he found out, hey, wait a second, people are watching this film and it's like beloved now. Mm-hmm. So anyway,
well, I was listening to that podcast of the Hardqueers, and they were talking to the guy who played Grady, right? The buddy,
Mark Rusler.
Robert Rusler.
That's right.
Right. Who just had finished doing Weird Science, right? With Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah.
He's one of the 2 knuckleheads, right? And Robert Downey Jr. encouraged him to take the role, drove him to the audition and said, no, you got to do this. And anyways, he's a super cool guy. And I think his part was written, this idiot Chaskin was just writing a bunch of dumb shit. And he's like, well, people don't talk like that. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the stuff was even more pointedly homophobic. And it was like, well, I'm not going to say that. I mean, he just like, why don't I just say this? Like when he says, when they're stuck in push-up position at the gym class, and he says, blah, blah, blah. He's like, well, are you mounting her nightly? Like, are you fucking her? Basically, the original line was like,
are you fucking her for?
You're fucking her for a ride.
Yeah, or something like that.
Something to that effect. Fucking her for car fare or something. Like, essentially, like, you don't want to have sex with her, you're gay, and are you just doing it for the money or whatever?
Oh, I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so he changed. There were several lines like that he changed, and and so what turns out to be, again, almost by a happy coincidence, is like that guy Grady becomes a pretty unique character. He's
right.
What you think is a musclehead jockey guy who would in those times especially would ostracize and shit on this gay kid. Right. Instead befriends him, no judgment, right? And
pretty supportive.
Yeah, I mean, they wrote their characters a little like it was like hard. It's like, what there's these guys' fucking relationship, like the way they start out like fighting, in that one baseball game, and then like he's kind of like, and then there's the scene in the biology class with the snake, which still doesn't make any fucking sense. Like, how did the snake get over on him? That's not
never you mind that, Michael. Never you mind the fucking logistics of it. Yeah.
But then they like show like the guy's like mad at him, but then he's like holding back, trying not to laugh about it too.
I think that is there's some
character, and then like the fact that he even thought to go to his house, like it's like obviously he feels like this guy's his friend.
Yeah, well, he says they bonded when they had to do the push-ups. Yeah. Like I felt like that was kind of at least that's how I read into it. Is like that was where they bonded. Bonded and then
he says to him
more early on that he had just came there because like when like they emphasize it later like, oh, we just bought this house and all this stuff, but like when you're coming, I don't feel like the order was almost a little out of order.
I mean he's already driving Lisa. Like how does he get to be driving Lisa if he's like brand new? So I feel like it clearly was not his first time. Like it was not his first day at school. Like I don't know how recently he supposedly moved into the neighborhood, but he was there enough.
Well, before we move on from that, like while they're in push-up position, which I thought really underscored Grady's character, elucidated it and clarified it, was Jesse says to him, like, what's your problem with me? You know? And he's like, what are you talking about, bro? Just passing time. It's like, it's basically a Cool Hand Luke line.
He's kind of like a troll. Like,
he's just like, I'm just doing shit. Like, what is your problem?
Your balls, basically.
I'm busting exactly. And that's somehow is so endearing. Right? It's somehow so endearing because the context that we're looking at is this guy for a lot of reasons feels ostracized already. His relative
and he's like, I'm not doing it right now.
And so all of this is accidental, and that's really what I like about art all the time. Is like, well, now it's like literature. You know, as a lit major, and it's like, oh no, the author actually intended X, Y, and Z. I'm like, no, I don't know. The text says this, but sometimes it works the inverse. The text says this, but you're like, no, the author was going through this at the time.
Right.
So it reflects this. I'm like, that's this movie through and through, you know?
I also like the idea that an artist can make something and it's a total piece of shit if it's interpreted the way that they wanted it to be interpreted.
Right.
It's like you can turn it another way. It's like, oh no, this is good, but it has nothing to do what you actually wanted to create. Like that's always humorous.
The most famous version of that, or instance of that I can think of offhand, at least in horrors, is Kubrick's Shining, where King was like, no, it needs to be, and King's a master, right? But the Kubrick takes it a different direction, and it turns out being, I think, an even better piece of art that way, but. Why don't you guys sick your big English lit brains on why the hell is that bird catching on fire? Like someone.
Oh, I know exactly why. Sled. Go ahead. I feel like you have a
combustion.
Sled. This is about Mr. Walsh and his control.
That's the fucking reason why Mr. Walsh is the real monster.
I knew
this motherfucker will not pay to fix his goddamn AC.
Yes.
And he gets up and goes and looks and is like, honey, it's 97 degrees. It's like, I'll fucking kill you. If the fucking house, I've been in a house that is 85 degrees. And it's like, what the fuck are we doing here? 97 degrees? Oh my God.
Sled, it just needs a shot of Freon. It just needs a little shot of Freon.
I think that's who brought Freddy Krueger back, is that motherfucker. He created so much negative energy in that house with it being so goddamn hot.
Situation.
Exactly, Jeannie. The living room's boiler room.
Can we talk about Mr. Walsh for 1 second? The character who plays him, Clu Gulager, which is there's no way to pronounce that.
Absolutely
it's a name. Hold on. So he actually was in 1971. He was in the film adaptation of Larry McMurtry's The Last Picture Show, which is a wonderful novel and a good flick, which I am actually, you ready for this, Ginny? I'm going to be guesting on Allie Jenkins's podcast. We're doing The Last Picture Show. So I thought
that's awesome. But
Allie. But Clu Gulager,
we do need to do a crossover.
Yes. Clu Gulager was in the same year he was in Return of the Living Dead. Do you remember that one? Which was sort of the Dan O'Bannon split from Night of the Living Dead.
Isn't he one of the guys with like the mohawks and all that?
No, he's like a schmuck who like works in the morgue or whatever. But like his character is. If you guys, we have to do Return of the Living Dead at some point. But anyways, that guy's a real actor. But Sled, you're right. He should burn in hell, which he already was doing in his living room. Effectively,
right,
he definitely blew the bird up. Why the fuck? I mean, look, let me tell you. Sled and I have talked about this before. I think I'm pretty cold blooded. Like I gotta set it. I usually gotta set it at 68. Sled, what do you set the thermostat at?
I mean, I put it at 68 just because I don't want to spend too much money.
If you had your druthers,
I wouldn't turn it on unless it was going to cause actual like physical damage to my house.
64. I mean, that's what I said on our hotel in Vegas.
That's right, Jeannie. You crank that sumbitch. I want to see my breath.
If I'm in the AC, if I'm in a hotel, I put it as cold as it will go.
Oh yeah, we cranked it down to 64.
It's a crime.
That's their electricity.
Yes, Mr. Walsh is a criminal. But Sled, you originally came on with his screen name. Who did you have on there?
I had mixed up their last names. I was looking at the credits and I saw that
Tom McFadden.
Mr. Weber.
Yeah, Mr. Weber, Tom McFadden, who plays Mr. Weber, who plays Lisa's dad.
Mr. Weber's a good guy, and Miss Webb probably not. I mean, not the most responsible parents.
No, well, that's what I was.
Mr. Schneider.
Yeah, no. Mr. Webb, Mr. and Mrs. Weber are the love interest, Lisa's parents, and they have the giant pool party, which I want to get to now because one of the best scenes, if not the best scene in the movie, in my view, but also one of the only notes that I actually wrote down for the movie. Well, let me just say, so they're having this huge pool party, right, in the evening, and she's looks like her family has a little bit of money, obviously. And all these people, all the teenagers, everyone from the high school is there partying, good times, people making out left and right, jumping in the pool, doing crazy stuff. And the dad, Mr. Weber, God bless him, is on the grill making burgers and dogs for everyone in sight. They have all kinds of libations, well, non-alcoholic libation for everyone. And he's just holding down the fort. And he's such a nice guy. And the mom comes out, Mrs. Weber, at some point, and she's like, okay, Slim, like, let's shut it down now. Time to go to bed. And he just hands off his spatula and tongs to like one of the kids. He's like, all right, you run it now. They go in and they fix a couple glasses of what I assume is some, middle class sort of bourbon. And they have some drinks in bed and maybe they mess around a little bit and the lights. And it is, I love them. I really identify with Mr. Weber. Like,
a dream demon attacks their house.
Right. And what does he do? Mr. Weber comes out with a fucking shotgun and handles business. Does he not?
I missed.
Fair enough.
Well, yeah.
He
Again,
he didn't shoot a kid.
I
like that scene though too. I thought it was funny to read. That was like in one of the things Wes Craven, I think, called out as particularly not liking is he didn't like the idea of like Freddy Krueger chasing them around the pool because he felt like since he was like physically not a big guy that it would make it look whatever. And I don't know, that seemed like the dumbest reason not to like there was a lot of reasons to not like it, but like there was never once where I watched that and it was like, oh, Freddy doesn't seem, it's like he's fucking magic. Like it doesn't matter how fucking big he is. Right. Like he explodes out of the fucking ground or something. Yeah. Like he's
he's
like knives for fingers.
Stabs
one kid in the guts, then like slashes another one's face open. Is like throwing people. No one was watching that thinking like, oh, if this guy was bigger, that would make more sense. Like,
they actually had a guy who was a stuntman who they had cast to play him and who actually filmed the first 2 weeks worth of the movie as
That's what I was saying.
The only scene, the final one is in the shower, right? When he's concealed in the steam, I think.
Yeah, I think his Sled, you'll love that. I think his traps were too big. I think his trapezius muscles were too big and they're just like, this doesn't work for us.
I didn't know. I didn't notice that it was a different guy in that or not. Like, it's just my impression was like, they said he couldn't move around very well, that he was like very like
lumbering
stiff,
or whatever.
Like a dime store, like Frankenstein kind of guy.
I like at the pool scene when one of the teenagers, when he's got them all backed up, freaking out against the fence, and he's sort of stalking them.
Oh, the one that starts reasoning with them.
He starts talking.
Don't worry, we're not gonna. It's like, dude, what the fuck are you doing?
I think that's a Chaskin send up of like being in touch and trying to like interpersonally communicate. Isn't that him ripping on people who are trying to
maybe
like,
well, and I wondered if maybe it was like my interpretation is like I was sitting there watching, I'm like, do they actually see Freddy here, or is it they're supposed to be seeing
who fucking
Jesse
or see Jesse running around whatever with the glove. And that was actually another thing with Freddy in this is they had a lot of it where he wasn't wearing a glove. It was just his hand actually had the knives
with knives coming out of it.
Can we talk about the S&M Club scene? Are we gonna get into
that was gonna be where I went next. Was credit to what's his name, the actor Marshall Bell, Coach Schneider.
Coach Schneider,
he's great.
Marshall Bell. Do you know where he's from? Like I recognize him. Like I always whenever I see him, I always think of the dad in Stand By Me because he was so fucking like
He's Mr. LeChance.
Cold
that's correct.
And like just like meat. Like he's just like it should have like.
I got a deeper
one. Should have been you. Whatever. Like
Joel, I got a deeper cut than that. Okay. Yeah.
That's one of the ones I think of, but there's other ones.
All right. Can I drop one and then I'll go back to you?
Have at it.
Okay.
No, you can have them all.
For me, I'll do them all then. For me. And Joel, this used to somehow be on cable every fucking 15 minutes, and you and I would watch it. Cherry 2000. You remember that show? That movie?
That. No, that's not what I thought you were going to say. But go ahead.
So So that one is with Melanie Griffith, who plays. It's like post-apocalyptic land. Basically, looks like Mad Max. She's a bounty hunter chick, and the guy. And in the future, every person has like a robot woman that they like marry and have sex with. His robot like goes out of like her chip dies, and he's like, I need this model, the Cherry 2000 model. It's like outdated. Only way you can get the new chip to bring her back to life is going in some dangerous, fucking wherever. And so Melanie Griffith is the bounty hunter who like takes him across the desert lands. Anyways, yeah, he's in that.
But a pretty good deep filmography.
Twins is his biggest part that I remember.
There you go, Sled. Yeah, give it to us.
I remember a lot in that just because he's very like
he's the hitman in Twins. Yeah. And
hold on, is it Total Recall or did I make that up?
He's fucking Quato. He's the guy, and he's Quato.
That's what it was.
He is Quato. Give me a Quato line, Joel. Start the reactor. Yeah, Marshall Bell. Hell yeah, he's great. He's really great. So he's the sadist SNL. No, he's a sadist. I don't know.
But he's got to be pretty cool. Like if you read his background, I just thought to myself, I was like, this guy must be a pretty cool guy. Like it was like
he seems really cool.
He grew up he was born in Oklahoma and then grew up in Colorado. And like no one ever told him to get into acting, and he like did a play or something, I think, and then he like went to school for sociology, and then he was in the army for 3 years. But then like I don't know, and then he became an actor. But it's just like he got into this role, like it's like that background, and then being willing to like, I don't give a shit, like I'll do this role where
Michael. He seemed like the coolest guy.
And being wearing this vest and getting spanked by fucking the towel and stuff. Like, I don't know.
He says while they're in push-up position, Grady says to Jesse,
yeah,
oh yeah, he goes to this S&M club all the time. He really likes pretty boys like you.
Yeah.
And so again, we're not sure what's reality. We're not sure if this S&M bar so Jesse wakes up one night and decides to go wander around his neighborhood. By the way, we're in a suburban neighborhood in Ohio, and somehow he just walks into like an underground S&M club. That's like at the Lower East Side in Manhattan. It's not in Spring.
It's a dream again. The most logical way to make sense of this movie is that almost the entire thing is a dream that he never he just keeps transitioning into new dreams.
You know who the bartender is?
Have you ever done that where you're having a dream and like you think?
I call it a double header. Yeah, I call it a double header.
Another dream,
Yeah, I'll have double headers. That's on the rare occasion I get more than like 6 hours sleep. But you know who the bartender is in the S&M bar?
No, who?
The director.
David Chaskin.
Oh no, it's the writer. I thought it was.
You're right.
It's it's not. Chaskin wouldn't show his face in an S&M bar. Are you kidding me?
No.
No, it was the director, Shoulder.
Robert Shea.
Oh wait, was it the producer? Yeah, no, it wasn't. It was the producer, Robert Shea. Right. So we talked about this before. He basically is a New Line Cinema thing. This franchise kept them afloat. They were going to go under.
New Line Cinema was going to die as a company if they had not made this movie into such a success. Like it was going under, and this made so much money.
Freddy built, isn't that why they call it
House
that?
That Freddy built. That's exactly right. I think
I'm looking at this. The quotes, because the one about the kid asking, just tell us what you want. All right, I'm here to help. The name is Do-Gooder. What you want? All right, I'm here to help. Freddy Krueger, help yourself, fucker. As Freddy slices his shoulder and throws him against the flaming barbecue pit.
Jeannie, I didn't take a note of it, but I meant to say to you, as soon as I heard Freddy say fucker, I was like, Jeannie will love this, because everyone says motherfucker, and it's just so played out. If you say fucker, that gets Jeannie every time.
Yes.
I knew you would like that. Yeah. That's what you get. No good deed goes unpunished, I guess. But yeah, the pool scene's great. All the kill scenes are wonderful. The gore is wonderful. The practical effects are wonderful. This is obviously predates any of the CGI bullshit, and you can see that there is a love for the craft here from the crew to the cast, who obviously have their own interests at stake here and what's going on with the writing and all the queer stuff. Like this turns out to be, I think it's a great movie anyway. I think the lore and the mythology around it
makes it really good.
Really kicks it up a notch. Now, the shame of it all, and as a blight on Wes Craven's record as far as character is, he ignores this. Doesn't exist in the canon. If you look at it, they never reference it. Nancy and Jesse will never be talked about. It's only Nancy. Jesse doesn't exist. It sucks, and a lot of that, I don't know anything about Wes Craven personally or his belief systems, but maybe he just didn't like the movie. But I feel like this omission might have more going on, than just coincidence.
I assumed it was because he felt silly for like not being involved. Like he decided not to be involved, and then he came back. I don't know if it was hat in hand, but that's the vibe I get, right? Like, oh wait, these made a lot of money, right? Like I need to be back involved, right? Like, and so that's why, but maybe it is something, darker than that, but I don't know.
I just, at the end of the day, I got to hope that a guy like Mark Patton finds some peace of mind, because just in listening to some of the interviews that I heard of him, he's still very upset. It's still very clear that he's angry and he felt taken advantage of, and he never, ever wanted to be taken advantage of again. He came out aggressive, Jeannie, in that Horror Queers. The first 5 minutes, he lays down the law. We're not joking about this. This is not going to be an hour of you playing this for laughs. It's not going to be blowjob jokes, et cetera, et cetera. And then at the end, he sort of realizes, the two hosts of the Horror Queers are also gay. And at the end of it, he goes, I'm sorry for coming out with my backup like that, but this has been a lot of years. And and
I think a lot of that is based on his experience, right? And then reading all the quotes and the comments about him, and really feeling like he was taken advantage in a place where he and so the documentary, so that podcast aired in 2019, and it was
so it was before the documentary.
Well, because it was at the premiere of the documentary.
Right. They were plugging it.
From what I'm understanding. So the documentary is from 2019. And so in the documentary, like, first of all, was it the producer guy? Is that who it was? Was kind of like
Bob Shea. Yeah.
Oh, he was like,
telling him, like, just kind of invalidating what he was feeling. Like, you're really
I think that was the director. I think that was the director.
Was that the director?
I think so.
Maybe it was the director.
He was like, you should just let it go.
Yeah.
Right. That's like, what are you talking about, man?
Right. How this is a person who has experienced this.
Right.
Like, this was the impact. Like, it impacted his career.
Yeah, his entire life. It affected his health.
So dismissive of that, I just think is a shame. And then he actually did meet with
what's his name?
The writer.
The writer,
and the writer like apologized, and kind of, it reminded me of the whole like intent versus impact, right? Like the director was like, that wasn't my intent. Well, but this was, I see now how that impacts you. And he did apologize. And then there was some reflection on Mark's end of like, maybe I did hold on to this too long. Like maybe I was building this up too much and anything like that. But I also just think, he was young. He was at a time when, it was the 80s and being gay and the AIDS crisis. I mean, Jesus Christ. I remember being terrified of AIDS, and I was like a child, a little white girl child, and just terrified of AIDS. So I can't imagine somebody who
think,
there were some interviews in that his assistant was saying, you know, like, here I am, like a gay teenager during this time, and it's like, if I have sex, I'm going to die.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so
think about a guy like David Chaskin, the writer, does the screenplay and writes all of that shit in there for shits and giggles at the height of the AIDS epidemic.
Mm-hmm.
Or like right before. I mean, I guess the apex is 87. This
pretty
is 85.
much.
Pretty close, right? This is terrifying. And I mean, as I understand it, as Mark Patton says, for the next 10 years, well, first of all, after gaslighting him and saying that he never did that, he's reaching. I mean, he didn't get into specifics, but Mark Patton said that he was trolling him and would tease him and make fun of him and harass him for years after this movie about it.
Yeah.
And
he doesn't come off well. I like
no.
Mark Patton comes off as such a sympathetic character in all of the stuff that I've watched. Like I felt so bad for him, and he seemed to do such a good job at kind of, I don't know, keeping himself out of the fray for the most part. Like going to Mexico, I think, and like getting away from it, probably
recalibrating.
I think saved his life in some way, because a lot of people, you know, would not handle that stress as well as
and I think also the impact the movie has had on the queer and gay community,
right,
you know, and just in hearing from the documentary and stuff, and how, you know, there's always that representation and seeing yourself in movies and everything like that. And I think Mark talked about that a little bit. Well, I mean, and then just the whole link between horror and gay, and like horror and, you know, people who are gay, and why they're so attracted to it, because they identify so much with like
outsiders,
the
otherism,
the outsiders, and the, you know, kind of the final girl trope with that. And you know,
well, these were, you know, I was going to say Once Upon a Time, but obviously, unfortunately, it still continues to the time. But these are marginalized folks. These are people who aren't in the main, aren't accepted in a lot of different ways and different aspects. And so they cling to, you know, and horror was always that way. It was the redheaded stepchild of cinema for a lot of time, for a lot of years. I don't think it was until maybe the slashers of the 80s. And then even that, after the 80s were over, was like, well, I mean, that's it. I think in the 90s,
still low brow, right?
It's still low brow. And I don't think it's until definitely pretty last decade before horror has been elevated to exactly where other facets of cinema and different film genres are. I mean, now it's on equal footing, but it took forever. And I feel like surely that's what, you know, LGBTQ folks have identified with over the years. But I think we should probably do any closing thoughts anyone has here and get out of here. This is one of the longer Prime Cuts episodes, but I think it's just rife with subtext, and it definitely is worthy of what we've given it tonight. Anyone have any final thoughts before I take us home?
Just, I really like the movie, and then hearing the actors discuss it on the Horror Careers podcast just gave me much more respect for the actors and how they went through it. You know, I'm thinking of Grady's character and how it could have turned into this like bully, and then even he is like, it's not a big deal for him to be seen as being part of a gay movie. He was like, oh, that's great. I get, you know, 10 million letters from guy. Like, do you know what I mean?
Like, guys coming up to him saying they
would have been nice to him, right?
Just normalize. Like, and so great. You
cost him nothing. Cost him nothing to
just be decent.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And so I just really, I don't know, that really just like hit me. And like, I love this movie. And Mark Patton, if you're ever listening to our podcast, we'd love to have you on it.
Absolutely. And you know what?
God,
it's a good flick. I mean, it's incongruent with the series, but it's a good flick. It's a good horror flick, period. You know, that's just what it is. Also,
I like the flip of it being a guy.
I think it's great.
Yeah.
And they talked a little bit about the end, because they're like, you know, if it was a true, like, they still had Lisa in there as a final girl, right? Because they still can't let go of that trope. But you know, the fact that it was a guy and there was a final boy, you know, and they talked about how in the ending, like, he should have killed her. Like, if we are following the horror rules, like, he should have killed her as, you know, but.
Yep. Also, apropos of nothing, but I can't let go of my obscure trivia. The high school that it's filmed at, I kept looking. I kept going, God damn, I know this high school. Even though I don't know this high school. What the fuck do I know? But you know what? It's the same high school they filmed Karate Kid at. I knew it was. I knew the soccer field was familiar. God damn it.
Yes.
Anyway, Sled, what do you got for us? Anything? I think we've plumbed the depths here. Shut up.
No, nothing else.
All right. All right, I guess that's what we'll do. Thanks once again for joining us for another episode of Chopping It Up, our special Prime Cuts edition here for Friday the 13th, Part 2, Freddy's Revenge. Really, really, really an entertaining movie and worthy of the discussion I think we afforded it tonight. So thanks for joining us once again, and we'll see you next time on Chopping It Up.